Hey guys, I'm burning PTO this week, so I'm going to do another video. For the people that are new, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick explainer for the NBA cheat sheet for this year. So this is the one for today, which is October 28th, 2019. And again, there's only 5 or 6 days of data, so I would not use any of these lineup ratings or grades yet because everything is skewed. You need about 14 days before the numbers start to level out. So let's go ahead and get started. So these are your player names over here. These are the DK eligible positions. So you can see like Rose is point guard, shooting guard. This is what's called the ease position. So this is the main position that that person plays. So if they play 3 different spots, the one with the highest percentage of plays, that's what they're going to sit at. And this is what we use when we're tracking DVP. And then this is the projected position of where they should start today. So you can see like Rodney Hood, he's shooting guard, small forward eligible. He plays the majority at small forward. Today he's projected to start at small forward. So where this comes into play is if someone's injured, you don't know where they're going to move them. So if he primarily plays small forward, and let's say for some reason today he's shooting guard, maybe if that DVP jumps out at you, you might want to look somewhere else or look over and see what the shooting guard's doing. Most of the time, their ease position is going to be the same as what they're projected to play in, as you can see here. And then, of course, we got the little color-coded team names. We got the opponent. Vegas implied team total. If it's a 0, that means the line wasn't out when I ran the sheet in the morning. And you can see here, so the Clippers, they have a projected implied total through Vegas of 121.75. And then this is the Vegas game total, 227. That's a monster there. And then we've got the salary. And this year I coded it into different color codes, breaking down, like over 10K is red, and then 9Ks is blue, and so on and so forth. GPP Algo, this is where we really caught fire last year. Again, the data's not there yet, but once we get it going, typically what I would do is I would come in and I would pick, about 3 or 4 of the top 6 to 8 algo players and put them in there. So today, there's not a lot of data, but like Westbrook kind of jumps out here at point guard. The video I just did, he's been on fire. He's scored over 60 in both of his games, so he's going to be up there. He's priced right. And then these, I abbreviated them because we have so much information on the sheet. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. Oh, wow. Hey, that works. Okay. Alright, so now this is your recent form column over here. So this is the last game versus the opponent. So when this player played this team, what did they do? And they're all just, it's a basic light blue background, but I got it highlighted green if it was significant to their salary. I think if it was over 6x or something, I had it on there. And then for ceiling games, I don't like looking at the ceiling for the entire season because maybe the very first game some guy went off and he didn't do anything the rest of the year. So for my ceiling, I look at the last 10 games. So out of their last 10 games, this is their ceiling. And then this is the value in relation to their salary. So typically, if you're playing a GPP and you want to win a GPP, someone who's got a 5x or 6x ceiling out of their last 10 games, now given most of these guys have only played 2, maybe 3 games, maybe 4 games, but I would glance down here and say, okay, 6.7x, that's not going to win you a GPP, 6.7, 7.2, 6.8. Now, what you want to look at is the guy who went 10x, 9x, 8.7x, 8.9x. Those are the guys you want to flip in to win a GPP because they've got a monster ceiling and it's somewhat recent. And then over here in the recent form, we've got the last 2, 4, and 6 games. Now, this is just going to show the last 6 games and then the value, last 4 value, last 2 value. And the reason I put this in here is I kept going back to another sheet and I would look and say, okay, well, what have they been doing? Now, these are all going to be the same because as soon as they had 2 games, it's going to fill in. Most of them haven't played 6 games yet this season, but when they do, you can kind of see these numbers. Have they gone up? Have they gone down? Which direction are they trending in? And then I've got a little evaluation column here. If you don't like looking at numbers, you can look here and see Most of these are up top are going to say exploding because they're going to have greater than 6x or 6.5x all the way across the board, which what it's doing, it's pulling the 2 to 3 games they had and it's filling in all the columns, and so it's a little bit of a skew. Like here you can see 71, 71, 71 exploding. Well, they're not really exploding. And then you'll have some here say like recent drop, so they start off good and then they drop. So this is something fun to watch throughout the season when you're picking out players. And then over here, projections this year, I just did DraftKings, FanDuel. I just kept it basic, simple. I'm not doing two separate sheets. It just takes way too much time. So DraftKings projections and values, FanDuel projections and values. And then this changed a little bit, the fantasy points per minute usage and custom grades. So this is the minutes a game this player's averaging over the last 6 games. So you can kind of see recent, are they getting some minutes? You know, what's their current status? This is their fantasy points per minute on the season. So you can see 1.54 is really good, 0.67 not as good. And then we've got their usage numbers and then a custom grade for the players. And I'll go over that more once the season gets going. Honestly, I don't use it a ton, but I put it in there in case I'm between two guys. I might go to the grade. And I'm also looking at pulling in the projected minutes. Right now they're having an issue getting scraped, so that's something I'll add in the future. And then this is the always fun column, your lineup rating. And I mean, it's self-explanatory. Some people wanted a guide. So diamond is the biggest play, mini diamond is the second biggest play. Diamond just means that it's hitting all of the categories that we're looking at as far as value, DVP, recent performance. Mini diamond, they're hitting all of them but one. And then these other ones, there's no order to them, but you can see, you know, guy's been on fire plus matchup. Guy's been on fire, bad matchup. 50% of his games are over 6x. GPP ceiling dart, that's kind of a guy that's all over the place. You could use him in a GPP, but again, he's a dart. There's no solid floor there. See if there's any other. GPP sneaky ceiling. So this is someone who's had a big ceiling in the last 10 games, you know, 8x, 9x, 10x value. So someone you might want to look at a little bit more. And again, right now, I am not looking at these. I saw someone in our Flick chat put in there, well, I got this guy because he's a diamond play. And everywhere I post the sheet, I said for the first 2 weeks, do not use these because it's skewed data. And you're either going to get really lucky or dig yourself a hole. And then here we got monster matchup. So this is just looking at the DVP numbers. And you can see there's a lot of them in there. Those were really fun to play with last year. And let's scroll over here, look at DVP. And then your DVP, this is defense versus position. So this is the DVP versus the team they are facing, the points they're giving over the last 14 days. So I keep a running total of 14-day DVP. Some of these numbers are really skewed, like this one says 92. I have no idea why. I've emailed them. I'm assuming there's 2 different players that are coming in at the same position, possibly skewing that number, but it'll start to level out. And then you can see the percentage of fantasy points. And so what this number is, so like let's look here. So in this position, this team's given up 60.1 fantasy points to his primary position, and out of the total fantasy points that this team allows, it's 24.7%. So about a fourth of the fantasy points are coming out of this spot, so that's a good spot to attack. That's also a good spot to find a value play in case there's an injury, because if a large majority of the points that are giving up is coming from there, then that's a good chance we're going to have some good value. These 2 columns over here, this is just league average. So this is the league average. So let's see, which one was I just there? Okay, 60.1. Now the league average across the board is 53.9. And then this column here, this is just the percentage. So 53.9 boosting up to 60, so it's a plus 7.2% advantage. And then this one right below him, it's a minus 12.4%. So league average to this position, they're giving up 48.8 points, but this team's only giving up 35.4. Thus, you can see the bad matchup. So that's a minus 12%. And again, you can sort by this if you like. So that's our DVP section. And then over here, this one's kind of fun. This was new last year we added. So it's consistency over the last 21 days. So out of the last 21 days, this is how many games it's pulling, so you can look and say, okay, 10 games, it's obviously pulling some playoffs from last year, so it's going to take a while for the data to get up. And then based on their salary today, how many times have they hit 4x value, 5x, 6x, 7x, 8x? So this player here has 10 games, and 90% of the time they're hitting at least 4x, 90% of the time it's at least 5x, 70% of the games they're hitting 6x value, and then they've got a good ceiling here with 30% at 7x and 10% of them even at 8x. So this is something good to look at. This is a place where you can see a lot of ceiling, floor, how people are trending, maybe someone's underpriced, and we'll go over that more as the season goes on. Over here, this is basic home road splits. This is going to tell you where the game's at, home or road, and then this is, so what I'm pulling is the last 6 home games and the last 6 road games, and using their average points and average minutes for each. And you can see some of these, like he doesn't have a road game, so of course this is the difference is a huge number. But once you get going in the season, what we found last year is that some guys just shoot better at home, and some guys play a lot more minutes at home than they do on the road, vice versa. Some play a lot more on the road than they do at home. No idea why. Sometimes the games can change, script changes, opponents change, but again, once you're averaging out 6 games, you can start to see a trend, and so that was fun to look at. And then over here we brought this in. This is just pace of play. So these are possessions a game, so we could determine pace. So this is for the season, the last 3 games at home and on the road, and then this is how they rank for the season and how they rank in the last 3. And you can even sort these, so you could sort by ranking and say, okay, this team has the fastest pace. Again, with only a couple of games, be careful with it. But a lot of information we have that we can basically put it all in one spot, so you can do a lot of your research here. And then 2 other things I'm going to hit on. If you have any questions, go over here to directions. I've got screenshots, arrows. I kind of explain everything I've done in the video that you can reference back to. If I make any changes, I'll put it in here. The DVP zone, this is going to have your team, your opponent, your Vegas spread, or Vegas implied team total, line, and then we have projected pace using the last 3, using the season numbers, total fantasy points allowed by the other team. The top 4 are highlighted in green, the bottom 3 are in blue, and then points to each position, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, etc., etc. And then this up here, this is your league average number. So you can see point guards, league average 48.8 points, and league average 224.6 points per game. And you can come down here and say, okay, New Orleans, Golden State. Right now, Golden State's giving up 252.4 points per game, so they're in the top 4 and above league average, and 59.1 to the point guard position. So just something to look at. Over here on the bigs, you can see like right here would be a spot where Charlotte's giving up a bunch early on. And again, something quick to look at if you don't want to dive into all the numbers. And then over here, this is my, I call it game cap this year. So normally I have a matchup tab, which we use on NFL, and I have all 15, 16 games, and you scroll down. Well, with NBA and stuff changing, I didn't want to, have a big scrolling deal. So what you do now, and you can see bottom team is the drop down to select the game. So click in this cell here at the bottom, and then this is going to list all the home teams. And when you select a home team like Milwaukee, it's going to pick up everything else, all the data. So here what we're looking at is what Vegas projects it at based on the spread and the total. The custom models, it's filled in, but it's blacked out yet because there's not enough data and I don't want people going off of it. And then we've got the Vegas total, or the open line, the current line, the change, and then Vegas money. The percentages will pop in here in case you're sports betting. Over here we have your possessions per game, offensive efficiency, defensive efficiency, offensive points per game, defensive points per game allowed, turnovers per game, I have the time of the game, the projected pace number using season numbers. Over here, if you're sports betting also, I have the records, so the overall record, at home, road, last 10, and then if they've got a win streak going on. And then over here I got the DVP quick look that I added. So down here in white, these are the league average numbers that I just showed you. This is the total, and then each position what the league is allowing. And then what I did here, so each team, so Cleveland is facing Milwaukee. Milwaukee is allowing these numbers here. So that's how to read it. So you can see Milwaukee's giving up 243.7 points per game, and these are the points they're giving up to each position. Now, if this is above league average, then it's green. So you can see league average to shooting guards is 39.2. They're giving up 41.4, so it's green because it's above. If it is bad, then it's red. And then we scroll down here, we've got all our players. You got your player, your DK position, your salary, projections value. I've got the last 6, 4, and 2 games, usage number, fantasy points per minute number. So this way you could kind of look at it and quickly see, okay, Kevin Love, he's got a monster usage, he's scoring a lot. This is the minutes he's averaging, etc., etc. And then you can look at the price and kind of determine what guys you want to build around, stack around, and then also the player grade I brought in over here. But that's basically it for right now. And then if you want to switch games, just go down here and pick a different one, and it will bring in all of the data. But if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to get these posted up here. And if you've been around a while, you know the sheets constantly change. I'm always adding stuff. And then once we get in the season a little bit more, I'll start doing some articles and breakdowns. Right now with football and everything going on and getting this sheet up and working on the optimizer, it takes up a lot of time. So hopefully this week I'm off. I can get everything caught up. It's supposed to snow here on Halloween. That sucks. So hope you and your family have a good Halloween, and we'll talk soon.